Welcome back to the Platform Skate Podcast, episode number 22.
22.
Wow.
And we got Calen all the way from the West Coast joining us today, which is very exciting. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, so I guess to kick it off, let's just talk about where you started skating, how you started skating.
Yeah, so I started skating first in La Prairie during a recess. If I recall correctly, someone had brought a skateboard. I think probably got it from a sibling or something, and I asked to try it out. There's really janky cement behind La Prairie. It would like chunk off into big chunks. And I recall at recess kids would throw that at each other and stuff like that. But yeah, so I tried to skateboard at recess, and I just remember it clicking. And so, I think it was around the age of Pokemon cards.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember those, Raleigh.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I discarded my Charmander and my Pokemon cards and picked up the skateboard. So, that was it.
Sweet.
Yeah. What about you, Raleigh? Where'd you learn to skate?
I started like on a little cement pad in like the middle of nowhere, out north of Oakville. And, I remember one time I was just like, I would play the Tony Hawk games. And one time I told my parents, I was like, oh, I wish I had a skateboard. And they got me like a Sports Check skateboard. Oh, super cheap. And then, that's where it took off for me. Yeah, it's mostly the Tony Hawk games.
Oh yeah. I remember learning a lot off of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I think 1, I guess. Yeah, it's probably right. 1. Yeah, hard flips. Like I learned hard flips from that. Watching that, that's why they turned out so weird because it's like lo-fi graphics. And
right.
He turns his body and it goes through his legs and then he lands on it again and they look like that.
You're just doing lo-fi.
Yeah,
lo-fi hard flips. Nice. So, were you allowed to? You're allowed to skate at recess at La Prairie?
Well, that's a good question. We weren't really allowed to skate there, but I recall there's a shop teacher with the same last name, Mr. Froese. Was his name, and he kind of advocated for this for the skateboarders. I guess he saw something constructive in it, and I know a lot of the guys in his shop class would build rails and boxes and things just for grades or whatever for projects. And so he advocated, and he let us. They finally let us skate there, and I think they had a fresh spot of cement in the front of the school. So we would skate that. There's a couple bike racks and things like that. You could board slide, and over time, obviously not right away, but that's where I learned.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a bunch of North End guys I'd skate with there, and
Oh, so you had a bit of a crew then that started skating around the same time, or were they skating before you, or what? Right.
Yeah, I actually think one of them was Shaq's younger brother. Actually, he skated. He kind of got me into it after that. After I got a 2XS board, of course, I got a Walmart board and those things. Yeah, I mean, everyone talks about the Walmart board, right? Yeah. I think after that was a Duke board, which was from Sports Check or something like that. Right. It was like the first board with a bit of concave.
Wasn't completely flat.
Yeah. So that was a plus. But eventually I got a flip board was my first one, and I had to save up my money for like a year to get it. My allowance was like $80. But
wow.
I had the peace sign, right? So you're always, it was really cool with the British flag or whatever.
Right.
Iconic. I was always scared to scratch it up, right? But once you get the first scratch, it
doesn't matter. I still do that. Like as soon as I set up a board, I'm like, I'm just gonna cruise around with this. I can't scratch it up, but as soon as you get a scratch on it, it's free game.
I'm running rails on mine now, and it's amazing how nice the graphic stays when you have rails on.
It preserves it forever with those things. Oh, that's great. So in Oakville, was there any spots there? Did you learn just on a cement pad? You learn?
Yeah, I didn't live in town. There was a guy that he drove semi trucks, and he had a cement or a shop that was across the road from us with a cement pad where he'd do his mechanics or whatever. But he wasn't there very often, so I would just set up, like, make a little DIY kind of thing and just skate there. Yeah.
So did it kind of click for you as well? You just kind of, for some reason just liked it right away? Or?
Yeah, I don't know what it was, because even now I don't even progress that fast, and back then I wasn't progressing super fast either, and so I don't know why why it clicked so much. It was just because I also didn't have like a skateboard community like in Portage. Like there wasn't other people I'd skate with. There was a couple guys from Oakville school, but I never skated with them. So it's basically just me. And so I've never really thought of why it clicked and stayed. Probably because after I started skating with like Steve and all those guys, then it was the community part of it. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you guys meet actually?
When did we meet?
It's a good question.
That's probably like 16 or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So how old are you now, Raleigh? Just trying to think of where I would have been.
Yeah, I'm 22 right now.
Okay. Yeah. So several generations younger than me. Yeah. And Steve, you got into skateboarding, Steve, after biking a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I was BMXing all the time, and it was a combination for me of the bike scene kind of dying out. Like there were still a couple guys that rode, but it was kind of dying out, and the other part of it was just like the challenge to learn to skateboard was just way more fun than just like trying to continue progressing with my bike. And so, yeah, I just like, it was kind of this, I had this time where it was like, I biked and I skated and I kind of did both. And it slowly, like, skateboarding just took more and more time of it. Okay. And just, it got to that place where I'd bring my bike to the skate park, but it was more to let kids ride around on it and while I skated. So yeah, for me, I just love the challenge of skateboarding, and then also, like Raleigh was saying, the community is a big part of it as well. So yeah, for me, it was a lot later, and that's my excuse for not being better than I am, because I only started in my late 20s. So.
Oh yeah. How are you doing now with it?
Well, I'm getting a little old, I guess you could say. It's just getting. Let's just say it's a lot harder nowadays than what it used to be.
Fair enough.
So, and then I went through that knee surgery a couple years ago, and that was a real setback. But it's coming around. I actually got heel flips again this year, which I'm pretty excited about. Like I didn't have those for quite a few years.
Yeah, heel flips was always kind of the Achilles heel for me. They came, but it didn't feel right. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those things. Either you have the heel flip or the kick flip.
Yeah,
it's hard to have both.
Sure seems like it.
Yeah.
So does it feel different after the surgery? I know I broke my foot. I mean, I was on a trip with you when I broke my foot, and nothing really. Like, unless I did a flip trick, I couldn't ollie straight after that. It always got wonky. So I don't know what happened there. It healed weird, maybe.
Yeah, like it's funny because I've been doing lots of rehab on it for years now, for a couple of years, and it still lacks the strength of my other leg, and then for flicks, the flicks just aren't there with it anymore. Okay. And so, so my ollie is not as nice. I don't have much flick. But I still love skateboarding, so I still get out there.
Where did it go from skating from LVS? Like where did it go after that with the crew and everything?
Yeah, I think eventually we brought those rails and boxes to just in front of people's houses. Like Shaq lived quite close to me, and it seems like a lot of guys start skating in the North End. I've noticed.
I was gonna say, I think I brought it up on a earlier podcast that I think it was with Adam, because Adam lived over there too, and I talked about how it seemed at that time like almost all the skaters came from the North End.
Yeah, sure did. I know my dad would joke that we just like I got into skateboarding and stuff just because we couldn't afford hockey or whatever. And I don't know if that was that's a thing or what, But yeah. So we in front of people's streets, I'd skate every day. I probably annoyed the neighbors like crazy. You know, the boards echo off the houses and flapping around on the cement. But I would skate a box and a rail probably every day after school. And eventually we would travel around Portage. I probably walked the distance of, from one end to the other, probably who knows, it seems like hundreds of times. Seems like that's all I did was just walk around Portage looking for, I don't know, a little higher flat ground to skate. I don't know.
Did you not spend any time at the platform at that time, or what?
Oh, I did, but it was I did. I think I was pretty young, like when I was rocking around. Like it must have been just before I knew about that place or what. But I recall going to the old platform too a lot when I found out about it. I just can't remember the age I was. And Adam maybe not Adam. It's hard to remember. There were I think some of the older guys that people were talking about were there a lot as well.
Okay.
And I was friends with some of their younger brothers and stuff in the North End who went to LVS as well. And but I would see these older guys at the platform, and there was some of that, that what would you call it, conflict, I guess you would call it, that was there as well.
It's kind of funny. Every time we've had a guest, when they start talking about the conflict, they always kind of hum and haw about it. It's never really like a straight answer that this is happening. It's just like, well, like this happened, but nobody really goes into it.
Yeah, you just don't know how, kosher it is to talk about it,
I completely understand. It's just, it's a little bit funny sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some stuff, like pepper. I remember a night there was pepper spray. Something happened. Someone got pepper sprayed and the wind blew it downwind. The platform was pretty big. At least I always kind of wonder what it would look like now, with really adult eyes, I guess. But anyway, the platform seemed pretty big and it blew the spray downwind. And I just recall, me and some other guys reporting later that we coughed ourselves to sleep that night because it, you breathe it in.
Right.
But,
wow.
I think there was some gang type behavior there as well.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Just local riffraff too. You know how it is.
So you skated at Campbell Soup then quite a bit.
Yeah. I skated at Campbell Soup too. I mean, I guess the platform was at the same time. The platform was open.
Yeah.
Campbell Soup was open with the platform, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was still there when we were skating indoors. Yeah. In summer, it would get pretty quiet at the indoor spot, and lots of guys would be back at the platform.
Okay. Yeah. It kind of all jams in my memory into one kind of time, space, whatever. But I went to both as much as I could. I think all I did was skate, just lived and breathed it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Who were the guys that you were skating with mostly at that time? Yeah,
there was so when it was just before Campbell Soup, it was a North End group of guys, and we'd go all over. Those are the guys I'd go all over town with. But they were like Rick Boak and Matt Trowski skated, Dave Bruger. There's a few others too, but eventually people kind of got into their own stuff, and I ended up meeting guys at the old platform. And I think that was probably Shaq, Adam Thompson, Kyle Martins, those guys. I kind of connected through generations somehow. I think just because I was always so focused on skating.
Right.
And so, I had, at the time when I got to the old platform, I had some modicum of skill. And so that I think was a little bit of a social currency sort of to get me kind of into the group.
For sure, yeah.
At least it was a talking point, it wasn't getting in the way or anything.
Yeah, like even though you were younger than those guys, you did have the respect because you had the skating skill to hang with them, so to say, right? At least that's the way I remember it.
Yeah, I think it must have contributed. I mean, I guess it's hard to ignore, I guess, if someone does land a trick just in a practical sense, versus if someone's just really trying something in the corner. There's something
Right.
at least to break the ice over, I guess,
Yeah, for sure.
But everyone was pretty, welcoming for the most part. But I also probably had a little bit of connection, to some of the real older guys because they lived, like two of them, lived on my street. Like
Right.
Sean and Brett McDougall lived on my street. And I was a friend with one of their brothers, right? So
Yeah.
and then eventually the Campbell Soup opened, and that was just awesome. The level, I love skating at the old platform. They had the ladder, they had this awesome red box, which was just awesome. And of course, the fire pit. Everyone talks about the fire pit because it's this kind of fixture of the place, right?
Yeah.
And of course the upper level, which when we got a little older, it was a lot more fun too. Just doing tricks off that. But when the Campbell Soup opened, the progression level just soared through the roof. Like having a skate park that was kind of fully developed, just really, I think people really progressed when they got there.
Yeah, I would agree. It was an interesting time because even just the fact that guys could now skate year round, I saw the level of skateboarding in the community just go up so much in those few years it was open. Like it just made such a difference because now, guys are skating year round. There's good ramps to skate on, and I agree with you. It did definitely change the skill level that was coming out of our community.
Yeah, it really had all the elements you would want, in a skate park. Like the handrails. I know one of the podcasts I've watched, talked about the round rail, but there was also the flat bar, which was awesome. Like the wooden kind of pyramid with the handrail on it, which was so sick. I love that. That was probably my favorite feature. But there was also the sweet mani pad, which was like masonite stacked up in a stack, but it was solid and it was awesome. It was wide. You could really do whatever you wanted on it.
And it was long too. Like that thing was 12 feet long for a manual pad.
Yeah, right. That was great. And they had an orange barrier, like a concrete barrier. The center of it was caved from us skating it. And so if you hit it wrong, you just fly off it, but you could make a little kicker up to it and, do stuff over it or slide it easy. Cause it's this awesome plastic that, just lasts forever. So, but Raleigh, did you come into Portage and skate then at all?
Yeah. After I got my license, I think it was the first day I got my license, I went to Oakville to skate, just to cruise down the road. Just to push around because I didn't really get to push around too much on the little cement pad. So,
right.
But then after that, I think that's when I started skating with Steve and stuff. Because I was, because I had my license now and I was going to school and stuff. So
you skated the, I guess, now it's the arena and Long Plain, right? Or is it Long Plain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I started, maybe a couple of years after I was meeting up in Portage, we started going to Long Plain. I mean, you guys were probably going to Long Plain before I was here, but I would go to Long Plain every week and then when we didn't go there, I would be at the arena. But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Long plane just looks sick. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't skated it, but it looks awesome.
Yeah. Right now with COVID, they have it shut, like they have the reserves shut down. And so
Okay.
we haven't been able to go there this year yet, which is very unfortunate, but
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. So do you guys think that the reason why, like, obviously in Portage, anybody would know if they're here that the scene is a lot smaller, right? Do you think it's because we don't have something that's like as big or as like has as many options? Like we always say, if we skate at the BDO, like at the arena, there's like if you can't ollie, you can't really skate there. So what do you guys think? Like, do you think that's why the scene's so?
Well, I know, I recall, like Steve, you had a theory that skateboarding or BMXing are kind of cyclical. Like, so one generation will do it and it's cool. And then, like, I don't know if you still believe that or not, but then the next generation will do the opposite or something different. Like scootering will be the next thing, and then it'll come back around eventually, you know? So I don't know if that has something to do with it, Steve.
Yeah, I think that has a little bit to do with it for sure. Because, like, yeah, part of my theory was that in a family, the older brother either, like, the younger brother is going to look up at the older brother and be stoked on what they do and want to follow, or they're going to be like, I'm charting my own path. I'm not gonna skate because he skates, and then I'll always be under his shadow or whatever. So I'm gonna find my own thing. Yeah. And so I think it can go both ways. And so I think that's what happens is you find like, not necessarily everyone, like, it kind of goes back and forth, I guess. And BMX is, I don't know, it around here anyways, it hasn't really ever got reestablished, but the scooter scene is picking up. So but
even the amount of scooters, there's not that many, right? Like I'm just saying, like, we don't have much of a space like we did back then, or you guys did back then, where people, like, everybody was going kind of thing. But since our spaces are so small, I wonder if that's had anything to do with it.
Yeah, I think, like, I do believe that in that whole idea, you build it, they will come. Like, the space that we have at BDO is not conducive for young kids to learn. And so a little kid could get a skateboard for Christmas, come out there and be so discouraged because he can't even ollie onto any of the obstacles. And so then he's done. Whereas
and BDO is the arena, right?
Yeah, that's right, at the old arena. And so if you had a park where they could at least, butt board down a bank or something, that keeps them interested, and eventually they'll be standing on the board, rolling down there and learning different skills. And so you would have a lot more kids that would be coming up if he had a space like that.
Yeah. Well, even like this summer we gave away 30 boards, I think.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a single kid from, well, maybe a couple. Yeah. We've seen a couple skating, but it's pretty rare. So I was just throwing that out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that seems probably like it has something to do with it. I mean, that's what some of those new parks do so well, I think, is they really kind of make obstacles for everyone, like a progression kind of style park, right? Which is probably the funnest, because not everyone feels like hucking every day.
Yeah, for sure. And it also says something for your era where you didn't have those, at least not locally, you didn't have the skate park. And so you stuck with it when you didn't have a way to progress easily, right? Like, you were just skating on the street with a box and a rail, and until you really learn some skills on the skateboard, those are pretty complicated skills to have. And so I imagine it took you a while to get there where you're like sliding on the rail and getting onto the box, and yet you stuck with it. So I do feel like guys that came up in skateboarding without the parks definitely paid their dues way more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that could be for sure. Like where you get your sources for, who do you emulate? Kind of like at La Vérendre at the beginning, I didn't feel like there was tons of people skateboarding, just for some reason. I don't know if it was like, I tried to think of it today. Why did I try to ollie? You know what I mean? There's kicks, but it's a Walmart board, so there's not much of kicks either, right? It's just a plank almost. But there's something about it that I guess older siblings of some friends maybe, and they found out, like Steve was saying, they found out and they kind of suggested it with their movements on the board, although no one at the time, even myself, could really ollie. But it's that kind of movement towards an ollie, that just
right.
But and eventually that progresses into the kickflip. So the kickflip was the second. I remember the second kind of big trick, maybe at the same time as sliding some curbs to ride on type thing.
Right.
But I don't know if Raleigh, your experience was like that either. Or learning tricks, from the beginning.
Right. Yeah, I'm not.
It's hard to remember, right? Those early times. But
yeah, it's so long ago for you guys,
Me for sure.
Yeah.
Did you you came from the era of skate videos and the influence that they had. What's kind of your first memories with skate videos?
Yeah. So I got a Globe video from Ollie's. I don't know if you remember that store.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this Raleigh. There's a skate shop. You probably maybe heard of it now, but there's this old skate shop and it disappeared kind of quick. But that's basically all. It's the shop we don't name. You know what I mean? So
we still have one like that here. It's now called Olina's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But we won't talk about that. Go ahead, finish your story.
So I got a Globe video from there and just watched it, to death. But also the Really Sorry video. I guess I was a big flip fan, sounds like, because I had the Rally board. But yeah, Rally's part was sick in it. He did, I can't remember what he did. It was a tray flip over this dam gap, like a water dam into a down ramp. But anyway, that video was super epic. And then there's the girl video. I think someone might have brought it up in a past podcast. Was it Yeah Right? I think.
Right. Yeah.
Where Owen Wilson kind of does that.
Yeah.
A bit of acting or whatever. So, that was cool. But yeah, I mean, and then when I was a little bit older, it was the Super Champion Fun Zone and stuff. That was just a real fun video. I can't remember if it was a real video or what, but
that was 4-star clothing.
Okay, yeah, 4-star, right? And they went to Japan and stuff.
Yeah,
and, that was around our trip times, and so we got really, we get stoked on trips seeing that because they were just having fun in these, pretty random spots that you didn't really see, right? So,
right.
But I don't know. What about you? What about you guys?
Raleigh doesn't come from the age where you had to wait for a DVD to come out. It's all on YouTube and Instagram so fast that he kind of missed that kind of that time where we were waiting for years sometimes for a certain company to come out with their videos so that we could watch it and be big premieres and everything. Now they just watch it all online. So
I can sit there all day and just watch them.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I watched a little bit, Nigel's channel was always sweet or his Instagram was always cool because he does, shoots video or whatever. So you probably follow him, right?
I don't.
No.
I'm a little bit sick of that guy.
His skating's nothing to be sick of. I'll tell you that.
No. I just got sick of his Instagram. His skating's sick, but it's that could be. So after the indoor, then you were hanging out at the shop pretty frequently then?
Yeah. So Yeah, I spent a ton of time at Campbell Soup with the guys. It was chilly and everything, but it was super fun. And then yeah, we'd hang out at the shop. Was it right after you opened that shop, Steve, or was it like a year later, maybe?
It was almost a year later. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that time between the indoor park and when the shop opened that it was, yeah, I'm curious what your perspective is of that time, if you remember it, because I just remember it being like really sad. Like we had like lots of, we were saying earlier, lots of progression. Things were like really going off at the indoor, and then that place closed, and then it's just kind of like guys disappeared, and yeah, it was like, it just seemed like such a wilderness time in the skate scene here.
Yeah. I don't remember that transition a lot. I mean, because the platform is still up, right, for a little while, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, oh yeah, it would have been still up. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, so the transition.
Yeah. Yeah, which you actually don't remember, which that does make sense to me that you probably wouldn't remember that as well as I did, because for me it was like, now what do? I spent all my time at the indoor and it closed down. Now what am I supposed to do with myself? And so I probably noticed it more, whereas you still had stuff going on and you could go skate at the platform. And so you might. And you were snowboarding, so winter you had stuff to do as well.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, we were for sure all bummed about the loss of the platform. I think that was or like the indoor platform. I think that was a big hit, actually, a big loss to.
Right.
Well, for progression, you're back to square one, kind of with everything else, right? So, but I remember skating the platform with Nick Wall at that time a lot, and skipping a lot of school. Yeah, and snowboarding. Yeah, we made a lot of progress with snowboarding too in the off season at that time, I think, as well, as much as you can, or whatever, being on the prairies. What about you, Raleigh? Did you snowboard at all?
I went snowboarding one time, and
just once.
and it didn't go too well.
No, where'd you go?
I just went to Holiday Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
Yeah. I made it down the hill a couple times without falling, which was impressive for me. And the one time I was going down and I like fell forward, I guess. I don't know any terms, so I'm not even going to try. But I fell forward a little bit, and some lady was like bombing this hill, and she smoked my back and like did a front flip over me, and then she's like getting all mad. I don't know how to snowboard, so
Yeah.
and then the next day I could like barely get out of bed. I was so sore.
Ouch. Yeah.
And never went snowboarding ever again.
Fair enough. That's how I feel now too. When if I go snowboarding, I just can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of snowboarding, we had some really fun events around snowboarding back in the day. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. At the dump hill, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What did we call them? Did we call it something?
Was it gibberish or jib fest or something?
Yeah,
Jib fest.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Jib Fest. But you and Nick actually made some awesome, like especially you and Nick. I don't think I did anything. I might have held the board or something for you guys to screw in or whatever. But you guys made some serious like rails and stuff.
Yeah, those were really fun events to pull off. Like even looking back at the pictures, like we had a good crowd out for that.
Yeah, I think there was a lot more. There's a different crowd into snowboarding that you could bring in compared to skateboarding. I don't know if it had a more general appeal because you could be strapped in. Like it's kind of more accessible to have fun on, right?
Yeah.
Like the regular skate. I think longboards might have some similarities maybe with that.
Right.
You can just ride and have fun,
Right.
Yeah, we definitely had a lot more participation from girls when we did snowboard stuff than when we did skate stuff.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. But yeah, they were really fun. Yeah, that at that time, snowboarding was just as fun as skating, probably. You know, it seemed to be a lot of crossover. We watched a lot of snowboard videos. I know the shop would get snowboard product in, like boots, boards, and still have that board. It's pretty sweet. Was it? I can't remember what it's called, but I haven't used it for a bit. But Endeavor, I think it was.
So was Jib Fest like a competition or what?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's like a friendly session kind of competition. There wasn't really a winner. It was just kind of.
Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe we did, but I don't remember giving away prizes or anything. I'm not sure. Do you remember any of that?
I remember there were products. Oh, I think there was a little bit of product to give away, but it wasn't super hierarchical. Like it wasn't really emphasized your place. I think it was very like inclusive of what people were doing. You could really appreciate kind of different styles, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
Which is cool, and different ages. I mean, I think there's different ages, different sexes and stuff, participating all in one kind of jam format, Yeah.
Right. And that, talking about that event reminds me, because at that time, I think we painted some of our obstacles with a brand that you were going to develop, right? I'm trying to think now, but I'm pretty sure we did some artwork on some of that stuff to promote it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I mean, I remember loosely, but it was like, I don't know how serious I was with that. I probably saw Shaq's brand and thought, it would work, or I could do something. I don't know, but it never really, I think after that, it never really took off, right?
I don't remember it taking off. No, it was just kind of a dream, and that's where it stayed. I think you're right though. Like Shaq was doing that thing. We had the screen printing equipment at the shop, and so everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I could do something." And you had a great idea, and I don't. Do you remember what it was called?
Man, I don't. But I actually I just remember Shaq's quite a bit because I thought his was actually good. Like this is for us. It's pretty cool. And the logo was kind of cool and stuff. Yeah, it was actually cool.
Just like a t-shirt company kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you guys were talking about a paint company.
Oh,
because you said you painted it on with your company, and I was like, in high school you're just starting a paint company all of a sudden, but not quite. Nice.
But yeah, so I don't think it went anywhere really, but it was fun to spray those objects.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I love bringing up the idea that like the skate community is just like, whatever, we'll just try something, and like everybody's just being creative, whether on the board or with kind of media around it, whatever. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's cool too. Yeah.
Yeah. So where did skateboarding go from there then?
I guess skateboarding at that time. So it was the old platform. So we're back at the old platform, and I'm skating with Nick Wall a ton, and we were snowboarding quite a bit. They put a fence around the top level of the platform, and actually, is this the same time as the California trips? I guess so, right?
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to California yearly. At the same time, there's a youth group that I was kind of a part of, it was massive at the time, like through Newton Church.
Oh, nice.
And some of those guys would skate, but you had to make this choice: do I go to Mexico on this bus missions trip with them, or do I go skating? And it was no brainer for me.
Right.
Went skating or whatever. So, but yeah, that was the highlight of the year back then.
How many times did you do the California trip?
I remember twice, but I don't know. Maybe it was more, but I think it was twice. Yeah, for sure, twice. The first time was with the Shaq and Kyle Martins were on there, and Adam, and then the second time they weren't on there. That's kind of what I remember.
Yeah, yeah.
So did you skate at the Newton Church? Like, were you at that crew?
Yeah. So I was with that crew as well. I don't know if you know them or not. I guess it was Kurt Friesen at the time, Brent Oakley, Oh man, there was a bunch of guys. Sorry, I can't remember them all, but yeah, we would skate the gym. They'd have these overnighters, and we would
Right.
skate the gym all night.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they let us use it because we're pretty rough on it. I think we brought in some rails and stuff, but
Yeah.
non-stop skating, just sweating buckets all night.
Yeah. They got rid of they still had the rails and ramps and stuff. Like just before I started going to church there, they got rid of it. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So no one's using it? Is that why?
Yeah, I guess no one was using it, and they got rid of all of the ramps and stuff.
Okay, so you go to Newton Church?
I did. After I got married, then we switched churches, but I was going there for a few years, like 3 or 4. Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, it was crazy at that time. It seemed like skateboarding connected everybody almost everybody that could be connected was connected somehow one way or another. And you would see some combination, whether it was, of the population, either at the snowboarding events or these certain skateboarding events or at a youth group or something.
Right.
You'd run into people, or at school, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the lunch times, skating just off the couple streets down by the PCI there.
Right.
Skate at lunch every day, with Chris Ward and James Boschman and, these kind of, I don't know if they would like me call them punk rockers because they're not so much punk, but metal, I guess, some version of metal. Yeah. So.
And didn't you guys skate off of the main stage in the sanctuary at the church too, like that 2-stair or something?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, we did that too. Yeah, we did that as well. Yeah, it was carpet, so it would kind of have this. It would pull you back a little bit when you landed, and so if you weren't leaning back, you would fly forward, right?
Right.
You wouldn't even put plywood?
Oh, I don't think we did.
No?
Because you could push through it. It's kind of like quicksand, not quicksand, but like sand, skating in sand almost. Right. Without the sand, but yeah.
Yeah. And that was that would have been Ed that was allowing you guys to do that? Ed Siemens?
It must have been Ed because he's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Just turned a blind eye, probably.
Oh, probably. Yeah. He probably tried to join in. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, taking his skis on there or something. But
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there were some cool youth pastors then too, like Kevin Taves, he was pretty cool with that as well. So
yeah, for sure.
We were allowed to skate.
Going back to California, what were some of the highlights with that trip? Oh yeah,
I remember like weird things. I mean, for sure the highlight was for spots was Chino. That was an epic spot, and there was no one there. There was a skate park there, which was cool, but there's also a real street spot, like a real,
right,
quintessential type street spot, and so you could kind of pick what you wanted to do. And no one was really when we went both times, no one was really at the street spot, so you could just mess around on there all you want. And I think Billy Marks was at least one time. Billy Marks from the Zero team, which the videos at the time, Raleigh, were pretty epic, the Zero DVDs. But yeah, he was skating that park, and that was cool to see. But Chino was cool. I think just waking up on the bus at like 2 a.m. In Vegas was cool. Just at the you're just out past your bedtime technically, just walking the street. And that was just awesome. I mean, waking up in the middle of the night too, or at dawn, and seeing the red desert. Right. I've been doing motorcycle trips around the red desert now, and probably because of that trip, I don't know for sure. But you'd wake up and it looked like you were in Mars. It was like a completely different landscape around Vegas and stuff. So
yeah,
that was pretty memorable to me too. Some of the food, like Krispy Kremes, still can't pass a Krispy Kreme without stopping in to this day.
Do you have Krispy Kreme where you live out there?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Oh, yeah, so that's dangerous for you.
Oh, yeah. Just far enough so you got to make a trip out of it, but you go every now and then,
One of the memories that I have of you in California is doing that backside 180 off of the 3rd and Army. I don't know if you remember that. You were really working that. Like it you were taking a beating trying that, like, because you were going off of the top of it down to the road on the other side of the bush.
Okay, at 3rd and Army.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't remember that one.
Oh, that's too bad. I remember it so clearly because it was just like your backside 180s were so floaty, and it was because you had to get past the bush there. It was pretty impressive.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I mean, that's in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember going to the ledges and seeing that they were skate stopped at the time, right?
That was at Pier 7.
Okay, yeah, right.
3rd and Army is the one where it has those white pipes or whatever.
Okay, yeah, I remember that a little.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Okay, so I remember being chased by cops down on our boards. We were riding in San Francisco, I think. Me, Bocce, and Akeem, I think. And we hit these big rubber speed bumps that actually slow you down. And so all 3 of us hit it at the same time and flew forward onto the cement.
Okay.
And then we looked up and there was a cop on a horse. So I don't know if that was San Francisco or what, but that's what I remember about.
Was that? I wonder if that was down by Fisherman's Wharf.
Okay, that could be. And then that's where Akeem did the robot as well. He did this robot. There was a busker who was like a robot.
Oh yeah, that's at Fisherman's Wharf. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was that. So I remember that. Maybe that kind of clouded my memory.
Yeah, lots of good memories in California for sure.
Yeah, like I remember. I don't know if you remember there, Steve. Justin from Winnipeg.
Justin Bassett. I was going to bring that up actually. I wanted to hear your perspective of this story. See if I remember it right.
Yeah, me too, I guess. So Justin Bassett is a guy who I think he went on to skate, at least for skates in Winnipeg, I think.
Yeah, he was on skates, and I think he was flow with Anti-Hero for a bit too.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Just thinking about his style, it makes complete sense. So he was skating a bowl, and I think it was Colin Breckman.
No, it was Chris Ward.
It was Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, and they collided, and his face hit Chris Ward's shoulder?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I don't exactly remember the collision, but it set Justin aside for a while as he held his face or whatever. He was holding his face, and we took a look at it, and it seemed to be swollen on one side of his nose, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, yeah, his nose looked crooked. Yeah, like I guess with the swelling, it pushed the nose kind of over to the side.
Yeah, and so me and Steve are, kind of huddling around Justin, who's actually freaking out. Like I think he might, I don't want to, call him out, but he was freaking out a little. And
it didn't help that we were like, oh man, like it's all crooked, and yeah, that's not helping him. So
yeah, no. So we spent like half an hour. It must have been kind of like trying to like pressing on his nose to try to straighten it back, like just giving it on his face, right? Just pressing it and like lining him up for like a shot just to see, that's what you do, right? You straighten the nose back and.
Well, that was what we thought. Like we were like, oh, like if the nose like is out of joint or broken or whatever, you just got to put it back in place. Is what we were thinking, right? And
but it's just swollen.
It was just swollen, but we were like, oh, like it looks broken because it's all crooked, and we don't want him to be stuck with a crooked nose, so we gotta get this back. Yeah, and the way I remember was like because pushing it didn't help, and so the next idea was we've got to get like because he slammed into something to get it crooked, we need to slam something to get it back straight. And to this day, like I tried to record it with the camera because I had the camera in my hand and I was trying to record this whole thing as it was going down, but he saw me recording and was like, started yelling at me, like, turn that camera off. And I did, which is unfortunate now
Okay.
because it'd be fun to see that footage. But,
Yeah.
well, for us anyways, maybe not him. But,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
but I do remember that we were trying to figure out, like, okay, who is going to punch his nose to get it back straight? And you, being a good friend, offered. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I do remember you like being willing to do it. Well, you said you were willing, and so we're like, okay. And just then the ice cream truck comes by, and we get
that.
we buy a popsicle so that he can kind of like hold it on his nose for a bit to freeze it or whatever. And then I just have this image in my head of you holding the top of his head with one hand, and with your other hand, you had a cocked fist ready to punch him in the face, and you couldn't do it.
No way.
No, you were all cocked, and you were like, "No, man, I can't do it," and nobody else was willing, and so we were like, "Okay, whatever, we'll just take him to emergency," and so we took him to the hospital, and they do an x-ray, and they're like, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong, just swollen, and it'll be fine. And to this day, I'm like, man, like we could have broke his nose trying.
I recall the cock fist but
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
that's about it. Yeah.
Those are the stories you don't tell your parents when you're running skate trips.
Yeah.
No, I believe it. Yeah. Now they know if they watch this.
Yeah,
you know,
unfortunately, we let the cat out of the bag now. Now I'll get no kids coming on skate trips anymore.
Are you still doing a lot of skate trips?
Well, not these days, but we would like to. Like we've done, like before COVID, we were doing some Winnipeg stuff, and we were talking about doing like hitting Saskatoon and Kenora and stuff, but now we got to wait till the world calms down.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a Saskatoon trip as well. I think we did. Well, it was me, you, and Chris. Oh, there's a couple of maybe.
That's right. There was one year that it was the three of us, right? And we went all the way to Edmonton.
Yep. Yeah, I remember a little bit about that. Yeah, that was good. And there was a Calgary one too, I think. Someone else. I can't remember. But
That'd be solid just to have three guys go.
Yeah, I don't remember too much about it, but I just remember it was the three of us that went in a car.
yeah, I remember listening to Maylene Sons of a Disaster on repeat because Chris is a real guitarist and stuff. And but yeah, that was fun. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Okay. So Raleigh, have you been on one of the Steve's trips, I guess?
Nope. I have never been on a trip with anybody else to go skateboarding. I went on one by myself, and that's it.
Oh, you did? Where did you go?
I drove to Vancouver last September.
Nice. That's a nice drive, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty good one.
Did you stop at the parks along the way?
Yeah, a few of them. I would, like, I'm not a big driver. I don't like driving, but I'd get in these modes, and I'd drive for on my way home, I drove like a 12-hour day one day, and I've like just by myself listening to music, podcasts and whatnot. And, but yeah, it was crazy. I did get stranded for about 4 days in Golden, BC.
You did?
Yeah. But they had a really sweet DIY spot, so I was set.
How'd you get stranded?
My drive belt went on me, and one of the pulleys fell off, and I've never been in the mountains before. Like, I've never driven in the mountains. I've never been the driver, and my power steering and like all the electrical, my brakes and stuff were going as I was going down like the biggest part of the mountain I've been on that trip. And then, and then by the time I got to Golden, then it was a long weekend, and the guy was like, sorry, can't get your part in till whenever. So yeah, it's pretty screwed.
That's cool. You did it anyway.
Yeah. Then made it to Vancouver after that. It's pretty sweet.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good drive.
Yeah. It's fun hitting up parks that you don't usually.
Yeah, right.
Like, been to all the Winnipeg ones and not sick of them by any means, but it's just fun to go to one like in some random town that you just happen to be passing through. So,
right. Yeah, Winnipeg's got to have how many parks now? They probably, did they get any new ones since, I don't know, Steve, I guess it would know, but did they get any new ones since?
Yeah, there's actually a few that I haven't even been at yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they just build them. They just build them all the time over there, hey?
They do a good job of making sure all the different communities have something close by, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, someday that'll be us here too, hopefully. But
I hope so.
Yeah, we're in the middle of fundraising right now for a skate park here.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So hopefully in a couple of years we'll have something built.
Oh, that'd be great. Is there a kind of an area of town that you're thinking? Or?
Yeah, like it's right by the old arena there. There is that there's that kind of half block that was a open space. It was kind of partly used for parking for Terrier games.
Yeah.
There might have been a playground there or something. There was a Kinsman Hall there.
Yeah, I think I remember it.
Yeah, it's going to go there.
It seems like a good spot, in the north end. Like we were talking, a lot of skateboarders come from the north end.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was there.
Yeah, and it's somewhat central.
Yeah.
The location,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. I remember we always had to cross the tracks there to get to
right.
town.
And so after high school, were you still skating then, or where were you at after high school?
Yeah, I was skating after high school for a bit, but you also, you just had to split time between full-time work. So I was at MDC probably for a while.
Oh.
Yeah. And so you automatically, I think you see that with a lot of guys. They end up, you have to, are you going to move out of your parents' house or not? Right. Like, so
yeah.
You kind of got to start splitting the time and figuring out what you're going to do to sustain yourself, I guess, I think at that time for me, skateboarding was like a dream, right? That I was super into it. That's all I lived and breathed it. By the time I think I got post high school, I kind of realized that there was an opportunity probably missed because I wasn't going into Winnipeg as much as I could. And if you wanted to get good, just like Justin did, you go to Winnipeg and you just go to the parks, right? And Campbell Soup had closed. And so you start kind of thinking, what am I going to do in the future or whatever? What am I going to try to make you're not going to make a living on a skateboarding. And so you got to kind of experiment and try to find other things to do, I guess. Yeah. So I think after a few years of experimenting with different things, I ended up going to live with Kurt, who was in Abbotsford. And I skated there in Abbotsford still for the year. They had some old parks there in Abbotsford, and we would skate. And every time, he was a youth pastor at the time, and I was going to the university. And I think so that's pretty much
right.
that.
Yeah, I do remember that actually when you were living out there.
It's hard to remember. Those years kind of blend into. Oh yeah, I guess we went to Costa Rica that year as well, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's right. Another big trip that we got to do together with Shaq, and that
was cool.
Yeah, and that was a little bit different than some of the other skate trips we've done. That one wasn't so much having opportunity to find good spots. It was more like helping out with what was going on there. And so it meant lots of games of skate with little kids and that didn't speak English.
Yeah, that was really fun. Yeah. And we were at that, we spent the night, we camped at that, what was it called? Do you remember? Do you remember the whole thing? What was the whole thing?
No, I don't. It was Froese or something was the organization. I don't remember what it was called though. But yeah, it was a crazy time there, like camping there and like with with the concerts going on at night. There was no sleeping. Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, that was fun. That was a trip.
Yeah.
And oh man, I remember when we were driving to one of the surfing kind of spots. We didn't surf there, but it was a really nice kind of bay beach type area. You were driving, Steve, along the mountains, and I thought we were gonna die. It's still with me today, but
I remember that so well too. Us trying to pass a big truck on the mountain road, and you get out in that passing lane. All of a sudden, somebody comes around the corner, and you just, man, it was like just you pin it, and you hope that you're past the truck, and you wait till the absolute last second to cut back in, and yeah, there was. It was pretty funny actually, the reactions that were happening in the vehicle at the time.
Yeah, no doubt. Man, I remember being between you guys, because you know, Shaq's in the front, Steve's driving, and being between, like, just like man, we all laughed though after it.
Oh yeah, good old Costa Rica driving. Mm-hmm. That was a trip that Shaq snapped a surfboard in half too, right?
Oh yeah, you had to pay for it, right?
Yeah, it was a rental. He had to pay for it. He was not happy.
No, that's cool though. It was fun. That was kind of a turning point, I guess. Yeah, at that point, I was still just, I guess it's personal a little bit, but it's like I wasn't sure what I was doing. You know, school was, you know, I didn't. In high school, I didn't pay attention. I was skateboarding, right? And then now I'm at this university. I'm thrown into this. Well, I've decided to try out university, and it's a steep hill because I'm catching up on things, and you know, I'm not feeling it. And I think that's probably. I think some of your other podcasts talked about it, but that's, you know, it's not my personality to like the authority and the control of university and being like funneled into this thing, this kind of thresher of learning, right? Mm-hmm. But so I'm trying to be shaped and I'm fighting it. And, you know, Costa was kind of like, can I see myself maybe doing something like this, you know?
Oh, okay.
Or for myself anyways, could I see myself, like Kurt was doing youth work at the time, so I was influenced heavily by what he was doing. And I suppose there's some similarities, you know. I'm in a counseling program now, you know, doing mental health or, you know, practicing mental health with people or whatever. But yeah, I guess, you know, it was a turning point. Do I leave skateboarding kind of not behind, but do I decide to fully invest in something new like school, which takes a lot of you when you're not used to doing that, or what do I do? And so, yeah, it was a kind of a big deal, Costa Rica for me. And yeah, it was an awesome kind of send off for obviously what I chose to do after. But
mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember you feeling a lot of pressure to figure it out.
Yeah.
Back then. Yeah. And I always felt so bad for you, because I was like, yeah, you're still young. You got lots of time to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, yeah, I think people have time for sure, especially at that age. I don't remember how old I was. I must've been 20 maybe.
Yeah, probably around there. Yeah.
Those ages blend in, like it's the 18 to 25, really.
Yeah.
You're just becoming like conscious of yourself, you know? So, yeah. So just trying to figure it out. It was a bit of a struggle, but.
Talk a little bit more about like where you're at now, as far as like this idea of like, I love the way you put that it was like, you were just skating and then all of a sudden doing school, and it was a steep hill to climb. Now where you're at, what does that look like? Is like, what part has skateboard had to influence you at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a tough question, a little bit, but
well, you could just say that it hasn't, and then that's an answer.
yeah, totally. That's true. I mean, you know, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm sure like there's a certain type of personality with probably that decides, that clicks with skateboarding, right? Just like probably anything else. And then skateboarding, you know, maybe it can shape that personality a little more. Like maybe you become better at overcoming challenges. and stuff like that. And I think it has probably done that. It's hard to say for sure, because I played soccer before skateboarding, and you might be able to say similar things about that. Although there's a lot of differences between the two sports, right?
Right.
And I, for sure, I can locate some of my personality in skateboarding and why it's a better fit. Like this, having no rules, no one's to tell you. It's an individual kind of challenge. Skateboarding, it's not like a collective challenge. My behaviors are independent. No one's depending on me to perform, for instance, and these kind of things I like. Not having to be a leader, but being an individual in the sport. So in a way, maybe it helps shape who I am, or like really hone those personality traits. Some of those personality traits, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly where.
Right. What about
Yeah.
influencing your work? Like you're saying you're working with mental health now. Like, so some of those things that you were just mentioning, it sounds like it would be a good fit for working in that field.
Yeah. It must have had an influence, right? But at the same time, I sometimes, like, just being exposed to all sorts of subjects and understanding my strengths now, I sometimes, and maybe the grass is greener, but I sometimes feel that it's just like, be careful, kind of like, I didn't make this up. I can't remember where I got it from, a TV show maybe, but it's like, be careful what you get good at. Like I spent a lot of time doing youth work and stuff when there was tons of other things that I could have also kind of like balanced out a little bit more. And I'm very interested in a lot, like before skateboarding, I played every sport, for a while.
Right.
And so it's just the, the options that are out there. There's so, like, I think Steve, you said, you like the challenge of skateboarding, and I like the challenge of things as well. I think if I can pinpoint one thing that skateboarding has maybe taught me is that some of the best challenges are those things that don't really have any payoff, but the thing itself, like there's no monetary gain attached to a skateboard trick, and I'm finding, like, for instance, like a motorcycle trip around Utah, that's just a very personal goal. And there's like, no one else maybe gets value from it. It doesn't help anyone else. But it has a lot of value to me, and maybe, that's just my personality, and skateboarding was an aspect of that, or an expression of that. But I think I see that in my life now,
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I for sure see, on a shallower level, I see, skateboard spots in the landscape.
Right.
Still, but I don't, like, I think that's one of the reasons is skateboarding so cool, though, is because there's no boundaries to it. The boundaries are, like, it's diffuse, right? It's just in your regular life, which is why some people consider it an art, probably because you repurpose these things made for walking or sitting. You use creativity to transform the meaning of it, right?
Yeah.
Your eyes just like become adjust to always looking for it and being creative. Yeah, creatively, like thinking of like, what could I do there? And yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so I see aspects of it. It's hard to know what came first, the skateboard or personality. I think personality probably came first if you look at development and stuff, but then it's it's shaped a little bit by skateboarding and the crowds or like the people you're with and stuff. But if you're not up for a challenge, like skateboarding's so unforgiving at the beginning, like if you don't have some of those personality traits to get through that beginning stage, like, just like with anything, but there's some things like school, for instance, like maybe there's a connection, but school, doesn't seem there's like a lot. It seems like the opposite of skateboarding to me. You know what I mean? But, I don't know, Raleigh, what do you think? You're kind of, you said you were 20-ish.
Yeah, I'm 22. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you kind of come to what you're doing now?
Like with what, like at YFC or what?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is, being able to connect with people on a different kind of level. I find with like working at like fast food or even, I don't know, just other places, it's not as personal and I enjoy the being personal with people and like using my life experiences to connect with people in a deeper way, I guess. And and like just being able to work in the skateboard part of the ministry is awesome, because it's both of those things that I like, two of my favorite things to do, to skateboard and to connect with people on a different, on a deeper level. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like a good kind of position to combine those two things. And,
right. Yeah.
Perfect for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are interesting questions. I think that's kind of that's a tough question. Yeah, I think
It can be a tough question, but I love going there. I love asking that question because it is interesting to me how skateboarding can shape you. Like you said, it's, is it personality or is it skateboarding, or is it both, or but I just feel like a lot of people that we talk to, they would say that, the idea of fighting for a trick or like grinding through to get something done has taught them character that helps in other areas of their life. And so, yeah, I just love that stuff, and love hearing how people imagine that skateboarding has impacted them and continues to impact them. Even like you said, just the idea that you can like just being around and seeing spots, when I assume you're not skateboarding very much anymore.
No, not last I skated was a bit ago. I can't really. When was it? It was at Joel's shop, actually. Actually, it was only last Christmas, maybe, actually.
Okay.
I skated at Joel's, but not much.
But still still see spots and stuff is like that kind of thing fascinates me, that it's just, it's just part of us where we see things that way.
Right.
And I appreciate that stuff a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing about skateboarding, right? Which is, it's just kind of, you're always in it, I guess, because the landscape was your medium or whatever. It was like it was where you did it kind of thing. Whereas like soccer pitches, you can see, like, I think you can, when someone mows a lawn, the smell of fresh grass brings me back to soccer tournaments, right?
Right.
So you can get the same idea, but the pitch is so localized, it's
exactly.
So.
Yeah. And with skateboard spots, like you might see a spot where nobody else does, right? Whereas everybody sees the same soccer pitch.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just going to put in a plug here. You were talking about mental health and stuff that you're working on. I want to put in a plug for a guy named Joel Pippas. He's out of Calgary, and he does work with skateboarding and mental health. And just something to look up. There's a video on Vimeo called Skate to Heal, I think is what it's called. I'm not sure exactly. I'll look it up and put it in the show notes maybe, but I think it's called Skate to Heal, and it's this. He's got some fascinating work on how skateboarding actually heals the brain.
Wow, that sounds actually really cool.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I got to hear him speak a couple weeks ago, and just really cool stuff.
Yeah, sounds like it. I was going to ask you, Steve, what kind of stuff did you do, just speaking of this kind of thing, in Yemen, I believe? You went to Yemen?
Oh, no, I went to Lebanon.
Lebanon, okay.
Yeah, and so what we did there is we took a small team, one of our local guys here, and then a couple guys from the Edge in Winnipeg went, and we did demos in schools out there. So we visited, and they were English-speaking schools, and we'd get a chance to talk at their chapel service, and then we did skate demos and just hung out with kids. We brought a pile of boards with us so that the kids could practice, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Did a lot of people have a kind of exposure to skateboarding before you went? Did you find?
Not a lot, no. Like we did bump into some skaters there, but we found, like, you'd go to these schools, with 800 kids in them, and there'd maybe be one or two kids that actually, like, could ride a board or had ridden a board before. And so, yeah, it was very low exposure there, which made it a lot of fun and crazy all at the same time. We also got to do the same thing. We went down near the Syrian border and had a little event with refugee kids from Syria that were living in the camps there, which was quite the experience as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
That'd be eye-opening for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we got to visit some homes in the refugee camps, and at
that time it was probably at the height of that stuff. We're pretty close to it, eh? The height of the conflict.
Yeah, it was. Syria was still in. It was pretty crazy there. Probably still is, but at that time, yeah, it was definitely we were closer to the conflict than what most people would have been comfortable with.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, at that border.
Yeah, we were. I think the closest we got was like 20 kilometers to the Syrian border. Wow.
Pretty cool pretty cool, crazy maybe too, but that you got the opportunity to go through your position there at YFC.
Yeah. I sometimes feel like I've been really blessed to have the opportunity to not only, do this kind of stuff as part of my job, but even to have those kind of experiences is amazing.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and it started with like that trip that we did to Costa Rica, right? Like that was the first kind of international thing that I did, and with that experience, just it opened up doors to other areas. So you were there right at the beginning.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you just had made the transition there, right, to the international. Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, what a pleasure to be a part of just the beginning there.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. I don't think we have any more questions, do we?
No, I think that was a really good episode. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did you have anything else that you were hoping we'd talk about yet, or?
No, that was cool with me. Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Really nice hearing from you guys as well.
So. Oh yeah.
Finally got to meet you. Heard so many stories, and then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, it was nice to meet you, Raleigh. Too.
Yeah.
I've turned you into a legend out here.
Yeah.
With all my stories.
I remember Steve showing me I think there was some kind of video that I was watching from the old camera, and some kids were trying some tricks, and Steve is like, "Oh, if only Calen was here, show us some tricks." In the old videos.
Well, thanks for talking nice. That's great.
Yeah. And hopefully someday COVID will be over and we actually get to hang out in person. That would be awesome. I miss you a lot.
Oh, I miss you too. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, hopefully the border will open for us, eh?
Yeah, for sure. So,
awesome.
Yeah, thanks again for taking the time to come on and record with us. We really appreciate it. And there's going to be lots of people that are going to enjoy being able to hear from you, because you were definitely a part of the scene here for quite a few years. So we appreciate it.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks again for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. We'll
Okay.
let you go.
Okay, guys.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
See ya.
Cheers. See ya.